Hello beautiful people, how's it going? I'm back with another video, and today we're going to talk about the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Not only my thoughts, but why I think this movie has become so controversial between fans and critics, because I think I cracked it when I went to see it today. To give you guys some context, I am a huge Super Mario Bros. Fan. I actually played the original game on my Game Boy when I was around 6 years old, and over the past 3 years, I have played Super Mario 3D World, Super Mario Odyssey, Luigi's Mansion, and I even played Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which is kind of like the original game that I played when I was a kid. And so the nostalgia is really fresh for me. I even built this Lego set a couple of months ago, the GameCube, and I just think that's so cool. So I went to see this movie really excited, and luckily for me, I was actually sat across from two boys. Usually, I really hate when people interrupt in the theater, but I will be honest, these kids' enjoyment of the film was so cool. Every time I would pick up on a reference, they would pick up on it too, and I felt really, really welcomed in this movie theater. I went to see it in IMAX 3D, and it was absolutely wonderful. I actually had a great time with the movie. I thought it was absolutely great. But unfortunately, a lot of critics did not, and it's sitting at a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'd like to know, for the same studio that did all of the Minions movies and all of the Despicable Me's, keep in mind, I only like Despicable Me 1 and 3. I think 1 is a masterpiece, I think 3 is manageable, and I think the Minions movies are absolutely horrible. But for some reason, those movies have better Rotten Tomato scores. And as I was watching this movie and constantly amazed by the Mario references, it just hit me that the reason this movie is doing so well at the box office and so well with audiences is because this movie is made for Mario fans, and it's actually really not accessible to the general public who maybe haven't played Mario or aren't invested in these characters. Because I will tell you one thing, this movie does nothing for character development apart from a couple of short scenes that try to be emotional, and I will be honest, one of them did get to me, but that's because I am an emotional person, not that the movie actually earned it. Now, do I think this is a bad thing? No, absolutely not, because clearly there are enough Mario fans to satisfy a blockbuster franchise, and I will say franchise because I think this movie has the potential to be something absolutely chaotic. We could get a Donkey Kong movie, and I'm sure people would go see that. We could get a Princess Peach movie, and I'm sure people would see that. Or even Toad. I had a great time with this film. My audience had an absolutely amazing time. If you're not a Mario fan, you're not going to enjoy this. You might have a normal time. I would even be interested to see how parents feel about the movie because it is very kiddish. I mean, I'm lucky that I have a childish brain. I mean, I went in with an absolutely clear head, and I laughed at some of the jokes. I didn't laugh at others because I will be honest, some of the jokes really, really fall flat. But overall, it is a movie made for Mario fans and kids. I don't know what critics wanted from this movie. I don't know what they went in expecting. I don't know if they were expecting a film by Martin Scorsese or The Godfather Part 4. I honestly have no idea. But if you go into this movie knowing that it's Mario, you're gonna have a great time, especially if you played those games when you were a kid. I mean, the references in this movie are absolutely phenomenal, especially for Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Galaxy, even Super Mario Sunshine. There were a couple of things that I saw in there. I also know that there was a lot of controversy surrounding Chris Pratt voicing Mario. I get that it's annoying that Chris Pratt voices almost everything now, and he is the lead in a lot of MCU movies. He's the lead in Jurassic World, but I do think he did a perfectly fine job in this film. You didn't even notice that it was Chris Pratt voicing Mario. I get that he doesn't have that original Italian accent, but unpopular opinion, please don't kill me over this. If he had the Italian accent for the entire movie, I would have absolutely lost my mind because it would have gotten really annoying. When you're playing Mario, it's not like he's speaking 24/7. He speaks in cutscenes or he goes woo when he jumps. But imagine if you got that for an hour and 25 minutes. I just don't think that would be feasible at all. If I'm being absolutely honest, the need for critics for a movie like the Super Mario Bros. Movie is kind of redundant. Me making a video on this is kind of redundant because when you think about it, this movie is made for Nintendo fans, Mario fans, and little kids. So why are critics saying this is the worst thing they've ever seen? I understand that animated movies can be really deep. For example, Soul by Pixar is one of the deepest films I've ever seen in my life. But to be honest with you, Soul was actually directed more towards adults, and it had a lot less kiddish jokes. And of course, Pixar is known to be really prestigious with their films, and I love Pixar movies. But when I went to see the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I didn't expect to see an emotional drama that's really going to captivate me. I wanted to see the games. I wanted to see references to things from my childhood, and I got that, and I had a really, really great time with it. I think that critics are honestly way too harsh on this film. If any of you really pay attention to critics, and that's what's turning you off from seeing this movie, if you like Mario, go see it. If you don't, and you have a kid, go see it and take the kid with you. If you're alone, however, I don't think that this movie's for you. And I think that's okay. Not every movie is supposed to be for everyone. And I think this is a 4-quadrant film because it is making all of that money. It's reached 870 million now. I'm sorry for being late with my thoughts and review, but this movie was delayed 3 weeks here due to the holy month of Ramadan. And so I'm glad that I finally got to see it today. I do think, however, that critics are being way too harsh on this movie, but I think it's because they kind of feel left out, because if you haven't played those Mario games, you will be absolutely lost. A lot of people are saying that this movie has absolutely no plot. I firmly disagree. I firmly disagree. It was an adventure, there was a plot, there was a specific goal. Whether that goal is achieved or not is a spoiler, but it's a kid's movie, so what do you guys expect is gonna happen? But it does have a story. And so I am really conflicted as to why critics are saying this movie has no plot. The only reason that I think that they could think that is if the movie wasn't accessible to them and they couldn't understand the plot, because you actually have to understand the world of Mario to get this film. And I will say that because this movie really feels like it was made for Mario fans, there isn't a lot of exposition that actually explains what's going on in the movie. You have to actually get it to understand, and you have to have played the games to understand it. So while I understand that that can be annoying for some people, for me it really worked. For the person I went to see the movie with, it really worked. For any Mario fan, it really works. For the kids sitting next to me, they were having a blast because they were both Mario fans. And it was actually really adorable hearing these kids just rant about Mario and about the production and talking about Chris Pratt voicing the role. I just thought it was very adorable. It reminded me of a younger me. Even my buddy said that they reminded them of a younger me. And so maybe that's why I'm biased to these kids and their opinions. But I do think that this movie is a great time. If any of you have kids who like Mario, take them to see this movie. They're going to have an absolutely great time. And if you enjoy Mario, this movie was made for you. Don't let critics ruin your enjoyment of it. Don't let critics taint your opinions of it. I think this movie is an absolute blast, and I would honestly rate it a 9 out of 10. Honestly, if there was anything that I wanted more, I would have liked a little more emotional depth and character development, but that wasn't what I was expecting. And so I wasn't disappointed, but I would have liked to see more. I think that would make the film stand out a little better. I also would like to say that the movie is visually stunning, so just on that aspect alone, I think this movie is definitely worth the price of an admission ticket. And I went to see it in IMAX 3D. Those weren't cheap, but it was definitely worth it for me. So that's pretty much all I had to say about that. I really hope you guys check out the Super Mario Bros. Movie, but it seems that everybody already has, because this movie is raking up numbers at the box office, and honestly, I'm really happy with it, because maybe that means we get to see less Minions movies. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.